Hey everybody, the bust with expedition trial number 229. Let's see what comes up. I'm having to take this Aurelian Soul after this previous trial that just went to trash fast with Garen and elites and having a big weird pick set. But I think we can skip over this one for this one. I've been wanting to give Nautilus another go. We kind of ignore him frequently, and so I think we can give him a go. My problem with Nautilus is that we don't really want to be playing a whole lot of sea monsters in our deck, and that's kind of where he thrives. We tend to just want to be playing Jaw Hunters, and then getting our sea monsters off of this summon ability, and not really play a bunch of the actual sea monsters. But that's kind of a different direction than where Nautilus takes us. And so kind of the general strategy we take with these sea monsters decks is we tend to draft like 3 Twisted Fates. We have Twisted Fate be our Bilgewater champion. We pick up 1 Shadow Isles champion, whatever it is, preferably a Maokai, but we'll take any of them, and then we just try to draw a bunch of cards to hit deep. And so we'll be playing Twisted Fates and Pool Sharks, Fortune Croakers to a degree. We'll play some salvages. Maybe we'll have 1 or 2 toss units, and that's how we end up going deep. Nautilus asks for a much more aggressive deep strategy, and he's a champion that you can typically only play 1 copy of. You can kind of play 2 copies of Nautilus, but drawing 2 of these is pretty terrible. His Flip and Riptide is not super good, and it's really only effective if Nautilus is in play, and typically if Nautilus is in play, you've just won the game anyways. And so we can take this route, though. We haven't drafted this in quite a while. If you're looking to just go for a 7-win trial, I would recommend taking this Callista, even though this is an extremely bad one. The Callista card pools are just so extremely good. This would probably kind of turn into a bit of a high roll since you're starting with such bad cards, but she's hands down one of the best champions in the game. And then if you want to put together more of a control-y strategy, if that's your thing, then this is a good start to a Invoke-based Aurelian Soul deck. But it's been a really long time since we've drafted sea monsters, and especially with Nautilus, and so that's who we're going to be taking here. So let me take a moment. We'll get him pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar with the site, it's ftpbus.com. It's where I keep my collection of all of my expedition stuff. And so I did want to call out, I don't feel like I give the search bar enough credit. I was curious, like the last time we even drafted Nautilus, so you can't search for it. Nothing even comes up. And so I don't have like the full extent of my YouTube stuff because I didn't feel like posting like 150 old videos, but I'm sure we have 1 Nautilus in here somewhere. You probably just have to find it in the whatever the second set was called. Got so used to saying Call of the Mountain that I can't remember the second set's name. But anyways, there's surely something in there. But in this trial, we're going to take this Tears from the Deep Nautilus, and this is like a pretty bad card pool. There's not a lot that we're really super excited about here. Come on, bud. Kind of the 2 big problems that we run into with this deck is it doesn't have any removal in it. Like Scrap Shot is all there is. That's just the nature of Bilgewater. Your only removal spells being Scrap Shot, and then Make It Rain and Parlay, just kind of the 1 damage poke spells, and then giving things Challenger or using Challenger. And so, kind of big problem number 1 is there's no real way to interact. And then problem number 2, at least as far as Terrors from the Deep is concerned, there aren't any of the really good early game plays. Like we'd like to have our Pool Sharks, we like to have our Fortune Croakers, just something to put down in the early game and preferably draw some cards to buy us time to churn through our deck a bit and then get our deep going. So there is kind of a lot of bloat to this card pool. It does have a pretty good late game though. The late game, not necessarily, if we're going like super late, it's not going to be better than trying to play invokes. But I do kind of like the kind of like aggro deep strategy where we're going to use say like Dredgers and then a couple of the Shadow Isles early game plays to just try to hit deep super fast, and then just kind of be bigger and faster than the mid-range decks, but then, a little quicker than the, have our power spike hit before the power spike from an invoke deck would hit. And so there's kind of like a sweet spot that we can try to hit if we're able to churn through a bunch of our deck and hit deep. And so those will be kind of the things we're looking for here as far as Nautilus is concerned. We have to like physically play some sea monsters. We need to find a bunch of card draw and a bunch of toss so we can try to hit deep as quickly as possible. So we'll see how it goes. The big reason though, I guess my last aside before going back to the draft is my big problem with Nautilus. Is we really have to take a Shadow Isles pack second. There's a big chunk of the toss cards, a big chunk of the sea monsters actually live in Shadow Isles, and so we're going to have to pick something else. And with some champions, say like with Maokai being a champion, we just really recommend as a support champion and not a build around. It can at least like do something to interact with the game. If you aren't, really like pursuing a specific, say, like flip Maokai strategy, it can still come down and make some saplings and, kind of interact with the board a little bit. That's just not the case with Nautilus. You have to be playing a deep base strategy with Nautilus, and there's just not a lot of support cards outside of Shadow Isles for this kind of strategy. And so if we see, like a real turd of a Shadow Isles pack second, say it's something like Nocturne, then, if we want to build towards the Nocturne, then we're just going to have a bunch of dead cards in our deck because Nautilus doesn't really play to that strategy. And so I prefer to be like a little bit more open. Like with these other ones with Callista, you can go through like Fearsomes or you can go through the Blighted Caretaker build around. Lots of things you can do with Aurelion Soul. You can go towards Invokes or you can go towards Dragons. Lots of things you can do with Nautilus. There's just no real pivot point that exists with him. Okay, so we're going to have to take the Shadow Isles champion. So we will be taking this Callista here. This is a fairly bad Callista set, especially with what we're going to be trying to do. We're never going to get real value out of this Haunted Relic. The Bark Beast, we're probably not going to have any combos for it, but it is at least an early game play. Kind of the other thing we could try to do here is just take the Gangplank and then hope to find a Shadow Isles card through pick 6. It's kind of more of a high roll-y strategy than I like, and we're going to be getting a horrible card either way in Monkey Idol. It's not, something that really a Sea Monsters deck ever wants to be doing. But I think we'll just go ahead and play it safe and take this Callista. So let's go ahead and pull her up here real quick. That was Retribution, am I right? Yeah, Retribution Callista, and see if there's at least like anything that we're looking for in here, like any sea monsters, any cards that have toss, or just like removal spells is probably all we're going to be seeing. There's Black Spear, Glimpse Beyond to a degree does something. We don't want to do any of this self-sacrificing thing where we're seeing like Chronicler of Ruin, Cursed Keeper, Pesky Spectre, Ravenous Butcher. These are all trash. Atrocity is okay. This does play well with sea monsters to help you close out games. Blighted Caretaker is, of course, really high value. Crumble can be reasonable in these decks. We probably don't have access to Vengeance, and so we should have, if we do get a lot of the card draw out of Bilgewater, then there's a lot of good units to just sacrifice, but there's just not a whole lot of overlapping themes between those two card pools. But, we're wanting to give Nautilus another go. I think this is going to give us the most chance of success here, in that just taking Shadow Isles. I can show you some of the Shadow Isles cards we're looking for real quick. If you're new to it and not super familiar with what's going on here, you can see it in the Terrors from the Deep Maokai. The early game toss cards we're looking for, Dead Blue Wanderer is the big one. He comes into play in tosses and then is really good at just stalling out the game. Same thing with Thorny Toad. Clogs up the board for a little bit, eventually gives you a toss and a heal. Has a little bit of the interaction we're looking for in Withering Wail, Unspeakable Horror, and then it does have a touch of sea monsters, mainly just Terror of the Tides. But so there's at least cards we're looking for out of this Maokai pool. This is where the toss half of things lives. Now that I've stopped and considered it, that there's only like one sea monster, I'm really kind of tempted to go back and just take this Gangplank. Let me pull him up real quick. I know that this is the like this raiding party theme with Sejuani is it's built on plunders and dealing damage to your opponents on their turn. But I was curious if this has any of like the card draw we're looking for. I'm not seeing it. Not looking for pilfered goods. We're really looking for, say, like pool sharks. I wonder if they live in the other Gangplank. Mega Keg. Nope. We're gonna have to go and find a Twisted Fate. But yeah, I think I've like kind of convinced myself that I really just want to pursue this this mono Bilgewater, ignore the Shadow Isles, or maybe pick up something later. I think I've made the decision. We're doing it. We're going to just go for the Gangplank and see if we can't, just find Shadow Isles cards later. And so this is where I think we're going to find a real struggle from where we chose this Nautilus. Is like if we want these Sea Monsters cards to show up, we kind of need to be taking the Terrors from the deep pack, but these cards are just horrible. This is just complete garbage of cards between Golden Narwhal and Chum the Waters. Like, I rarely, if ever, played Narwhal, and then Chum the Waters, it's one of these cards to where we're kind of happy if it's like, pick 12 and we don't have any interaction, and it's like, well, it's something. It's one way to do a something. But Riptide Rex is just going to be powerful enough here. This dude is super powerful. You could always also consider just pivoting into Freylord. It's not quite what I want to be doing. I'm hoping that we can actually put together, something that that interacts well with Nautilus. And then, again, like problem number 2. We don't want Chum the Waters. We don't want Brash Gambler. These cards just are not very good. The ones that are good, Shellshocker, Hired Gun, we're completely happy to take. I'm starting to consider just picking up Freylord and full building around Gangplank. That's the way that this trial looks like it's pushing itself. But I don't think I quite want to pivot there for these cards. But we probably have to give up on this Nautilus at some point. I'll give it like one more pack here to see if we can't push ourselves in this Sea Monsters direction. And these are exactly what we were looking for. It's surprisingly not out of the Terrors from the deep card pool, but the Pool Shark and the Jaw Hunters are exactly what we want as far as this Sea Monster strategy goes. And so I'm not gonna give up on it. I'm not saying that I won't take a Freylord pack with the next pick, or at least a Shadow Isles pack with the next pick. We have some options, but the Hunter's Pool Shark are where we're trying to be. Okay, so we're just going to be a Bilgewater deck. That's pretty clear now. We're not going to take these Piltover cards ever, and so I think I'm just going to pick up the Plunders. Mystifying Magician is not particularly exciting. Shellshocker is good, but it looks like we're going to probably be building around Gangplank here, and so I want to pick up the early game Plunders. Okay, well, interesting. At least some of the payoff to playing full Bilgewater is being able to play Yordle Grifter, but I don't really want to be picking up Monkey Idol. I think this card is just it's borderline unplayable, and so I'm okay to pick up Hired Gun. It's one of our few ways to interact, and I don't really like Slotbot a whole lot anymore, but it's okay. It was a lot better before all the silences came out of Targon. Okay. Looking like we're going to take this Black Market Merchant and the Island Navigator. The Prowling Cutthroat is something that I find kind of interesting, but Monkey Business is just, it's in the top 5 worst cards in the game. I really have to be getting like a high value card with this. If we were getting, say, like Riptide Rex with Monkey Business, then okay, but Prowling Cutthroat's not high enough quality. And so our curve is, kind of pushed a little bit too low. This tends to be like a Twisted Fate deck. I call it the kind of the 1-drops card draw deck, to where we're drawing cards with Pool Shark and Fortune Croaker, and then once we have a wide board, we start drawing cards from our opponent's deck with Black Market Merchant and Pilfered Goods. We aren't like exactly in that deck, but it looks to be like the way that this is going. It's like every single Terrors from the deep pack just happens to have a whatever, like the Fizz Shark spell, and it's just trash. And so I haven't like decided if we can like fully give up on Sea Monsters. I don't really like Lure of the Depths, but as you can see in our deck now, we haven't like seen a physical Sea Monster throughout this run, and so that makes it hard for things like Lure of the Depths to be good. But I'm still willing to give it a chance here because the rest of these cards are not particularly good. We don't have a lot of combos with Petty Officer or Double Trouble. That's really wanting to be in a Fishbone style deck with Professor Von Yip, or with the Plunder 2-drop. And I'm kind of interested in Shakedown, but we have 2 hired guns. I think that's kind of okay. Let's just take the Pole Shark and the Lure, and then if the Lure turns out to be too bad, hopefully we can just trade it away. Okay, here I'm happy to pick up the Wave Rider. Well, I'm not going to say I'm happy about it. I would much rather this be an Abyssal Eye. Just the actual sea monsters have just not shown up at any part in this trial. I get in large part that's because we never took any of those sea monsters packs, but this is kind of where we would want this to be. If this was an Abyssal Eye, I would be super happy about it. If we could pick up like 2 of the 4 drops and 2 Abyssal Eyes before the draft was over, I would have been reasonably happy with that. But I mean, I guess we're at least just taking Pole Shark here. This guy's the kind of like the end of the road as far as picking up good top end goes. See, here's an Abyssal Eye. Like, why couldn't you have been in that last pack where it's just not as horrible? Ideally here, I mean, you want to just be taking this Riptide Rex. I just don't think, like, how much can we actually build around this Nautilus? I'm kind of okay with like taking a second one and then trying to find like one Twisted Fate. I didn't want to just like fully give up on the Abyssal Eye, or I mean, I didn't want to fully give up on sea monsters, but I mean, this is kind of where we're at with with the Riptide Rex Pilfered Goods. This is completely the pack here. In my opinion, we're in a pretty good spot to just abandon the sea monsters. We got the Wave Rider. I think that's what we're going to do. We're just going to accept that we're a full-on Plunder deck now. I have the Pilfered Goods. I think we got the 1 Black Market Merchant, and we'll just fully transition into this cheap deck. It's like, I'm sorry, Nautilus, we tried, man. But, we can still at least kind of look at him as to being like some top end. We shouldn't have too much trouble just drawing a whole bunch of cards. But depending on how the rest of this draft goes, I'm either just going to be looking for Gangplanks or looking for Twisted Fates. I'm sorry to say it, but I'm officially giving up on the sea monsters. Okay. And see, this is so weird. Once we've officially given up, that's when the Abyssal Eyes start to make an appearance. I'm not dealing with that anymore, though. Here, let's get the interactive stuff with Shakedown and another Plunder. Okay, cool. And these are coming together reasonably well. I think I'm okay with skipping on the Slippery Wave Rider. We shouldn't have too much trouble in picking up a second one at some point in the trial. So I'm just going to take the Parlay Yordle Grifter, so we have some way to try to level up these Gangplanks. We haven't like fully committed to Gangplank or fully committed to Twisted Fate, but we do need some kind of interaction, and these parlays are pretty important as far as Twisted Fates go. Then the Yordle Grifter is just going to be good either way. Okay. Well, I'm going to continue to take the 1-drops. I would like to pick up Make It Rains. Kind of one of the things that you see with these, the Gangplank decks, is you need to be able to deal damage to your opponent on their turn. And Make It Rain is kind of the premier way to do that. But I, again, don't want these Chum the Waters. And so let's just pick up these good early game plays. Okay, all right. So I don't really want pocket aces. Here's our sea monster suite and Jaw Hunters. I'm okay with these. I think the Pole Shark is a little more important than the Jaw Hunters. We already have 2. We don't need to go out of our way to get more of these. And I think I want to hang on to our interaction with Parlay, so I'm just going to skip all of these, even though we kind of want these Corsairs being a Plunder style deck. I think we should be able to trade out some of these rando cards like Lure of the Depths and hopefully pick up some Corsairs. So I'm going to skip all of these, and then we do have to pick a card to go and turn premium as these runs go. I believe I'm just going to go with the Pole Shark. I don't think I've premiumed this up yet, and he's kind of the glue that holds these decks together. So let's go and level him up real quick, and we'll get to winning. Okay, cool. I saw the Shark Chariot and thought that we were already shiny. He's just kind of silvery in this picture. Cool. Let's get to battle. I'm sorry, Nautilus. We tried. Like that just nothing fell out right. We saw those tears from the deep packs early, but what are we going to do with Brash Gambler plus Chum the Waters? Like that's just such a horrific start to a deck. Just a little sad for our bro. Okay, but this is a reasonable start. Gotta get rid of these Riptides as well. Just spending 4 mana on a stun is not something any deck wants to do. We talk a whole lot of trash about Steel Tempest and Guile and having Riptide doesn't really feel good when those cards are so bad. But we'll get a Plunder here. We'll get a Black Market Merchant going. This is all in all a pretty reasonable start.
My selection speaks for itself.
We play 2 spells. It's pretty tough for us to do.
I won't stand by.
Okay. Don't think we care about this thing. Let's just go ahead and get a Monkey Idol going. Like if the extent of his turn is he Dragon's Protections this thing and hits us for 4, then that's pretty reasonable. We can interact with his board just fine. Going to be fully wide next turn and just slamming in. This is what we tend to talk about with how the 1-drop stacks will play out. We go ahead and take this block. We don't have a parlay. But it's really easy for us to just get fully wide. And then, we want to be drawing cards with Pool Shark. We want to be drawing cards with Fortune Croakers, and we're not going to win the game through card advantage. We're just gonna, or I should say, through card quality. We're just gonna win through quantity. So it's gonna take us, 2 or 3 cards to deal with the Scales of the Dragon, but that's okay. It's all part of the plan.
Lucky you. I'm the last thing you'll see.
Let's see what we're able to hired gun. It's probably just going to be the Scales of the Dragon again, but things may change. Ready to just slam this into something. Decent. Wonder if he has like Heimerdinger or Elisa and he's wanting to bank mana, but we're about to get super wide on him. Maybe he dropped his phone in the toilet. That's what happens on occasion. The old toilet phone? It's looking more and more like it. There you go.
Shield is yours.
Sure.
Skill and grace to
So
tear
I'm pretty sure that our hired gun is just going to be hitting the Scales, but I mean, we can throw the monkey at it. We're going to get a trade on the Protector. It all still seems like a pretty reasonable turn. Going to take either 3 or 4 plus 1 from the Monkey Idol. And we can continue just drawing cards as well, right? We got +2 cards that we can play here. As long as we can keep getting wide on this guy, it's pretty good for us. Probably have to just go ahead and parlay one of these things. We're never going to get a better one. Help level up our Gangplank a little bit as well. I mean, his only like real attack here is with this thing probably hooking the Monkey Idol. Yeah.
Don't ask where it's from. Ask how much.
Yeah, don't want Death Rays. This card's horrible. Yeah, let's go ahead and get his bird out of here. We can hook. Don't have a good hook with this. We're gonna have to lose a unit, but we can get 4 damage in. Sure. This is getting to the point where we're just gonna have to win with a Riptide Rex. So bad.
Safety will cost you.
Mystic shots are always fun to draw. Okay, so how do we want to go about this? have to just be chunking damage in. We have 3 in our hand, which is probably going to be kind of pivotal. But I'm thinking, what if we just like stun the Silverwing Diver, we hook the scales with our 1/1, get in for 6, takes him to 5, then we'd have to find a way to deal 2 more damage. I don't know how we do that 2 more damage though. Or the other kind of way we can, I think, here we're going to be stunning this 100% of the time. The other kind of way we can go about this is trying to just take down his Scales of the Dragon. Like we can put 3 damage on it and then hit it with the Death Ray, but that seems pretty weak. I think we're just going to be a couple damage short. We're either going to have to Riptide Rex through the final points of damage, or we're going to have to plunder another Mystic Shot or something. Hopefully we have a reasonable amount of time to do this.
You won't feel it at first.
Hang on, it just takes him to 3. Oops. No, he's got a Mystic Shot of his own. That's pretty close.
Got me.
I was thinking once I had that play lined up that he was going to be able to still block with this Silverwing Diver. Clearly not the case. We have to assume that he's probably going to double bird and kill both of our units, hit us for 6. Let's see what we can do. This is the thing I hate about Death Ray, is like I would really like to protect our Yordle Grifter, but I just never want to draw this ever again. So let's let that go, see if we can't hit a Riptide Rex. And that's pretty scary when he has Silverwing Diver on board, because it just doesn't deal any damage to it. Deep. 4 away. Oh, that's so far.
In formation. Uncle Nautilus, come with us.
You can at least do some blocking, Uncle Nautilus. I don't even have a salvage. I don't think we even saw a salvage in the draft. So he's just going to be like slow leveling forever. Ugh. Okay. Oh. We got blockers for a while.
I call upon the dragon.
Master!
Okay. Pretty far away from leveling. We probably just have to draw something to win the game like immediately. I don't think we'll end up surviving his next attack.
My lands need me. Center your spirit.
That's all he's bringing to the party, though. That's pretty good for us. He has to at least be attacking with the Silverwing Diver.
Strike firmly.
Oh, just go in face. Oh, he probably just wants the barrier.
Lee has
It's kind of scary to see that stuff, though.
Only the bad parts are true.
If he has a Sonic Wave, we're dead.
My lands need me. Prepare yourself.
Played that strangely for him to have a Sonic Wave, though. So we'll fall to 1 like this. Okay.
No outsiders.
We'll put a damage on here so we can get in a parlay point. We don't need to save this for a plunder since we have the warning shot.
Raindrops.
So let's see what we can do. We can hit some pilfered goods. Hit something to get a point of damage in. That's not quite it.
I deal in coins and carnage.
3 points. Is this burst? Yeah. All right. So this is our play. This is this is gonna be our play of the day. We're gonna hit the. We're gonna burst out the pilfered goods. Oh, he's gonna ruin our fun, isn't he? we're going to burst out Pilfered Goods and then hit Mystic Shot out of his deck and burn him out. This guy doesn't like to have fun. It's one of the downsides in some of these games. Okay.
I will return.
But, I mean, we're pretty close to a reasonable deck. Let's see if we can't find some juicy trades. Chum the Waters. I don't know what the deal with so many Chum the Waters is in this trial, but it's really trying to push that on us. I think I just want the third Jal Hunters here. What's our 1-drop count if we lose a Shell Shocker? We've got 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. I'd like to have more than 7, but I think our big problem here is top end. Good with the 2 Riptide Rex. I'd like to have 1 more Wave Rider. We'll fill in a little bit more as this comes along, but I just want like one big unit for now, and then we can still just decide on Twisted Fates or Gangplanks later. Buy with Zoe. Sure. So let's keep our hired gun and then look for some early game. Found it. I'm typically pretty okay with just running out Pool Shark on the first turn in these style of decks because you tend to have enough plays that you can just draw into with just actual dead Lure of the Depths. But here I think I'm just going to play this a little slow. I'll just play the hired gun on the second turn and see if we can't like double hired gun his board. And then like, right, he's going to play some kind of unit on 2. We'll hit with hired gun. May even play a unit now, but kind of the idea is we're going to just win some combats with these. Oh, I gotta get rid of these dead cards too. I mean, this is technically we can play Jal Hunters and then have a reduced cost sea monster, but that is certainly not the way you want to be doing it.
How can I help?
Get bloody, get paid.
Not the ideal target for hired gun, but we're never not getting this on board. Let's lead with Pool Shark to give him an opportunity to play another unit we can hit with hired gun. Not quite the outcome we were looking for.
Playing bilge rules, son.
But let's keep this clear. Seems like he probably doesn't have a 2-drop. He's just gonna get us God with Tayari that's about to come up, but... Oh, beautiful. Could not ask for a better Mystic Shot.
Oh, that technique. Give us some room.
Okay, so I mean we got 2 cards incoming next turn. Only have 5 mana, so we might get kind of stuck not being able to play something. Ugh. Not having that parlay is feeling pretty bad. Pretty bad. I mean, I'm still happy with that play we made, but that is just like the actual ultimate punish for what our deck could have delivered there. It's pretty brutal.
Success gets you noticed around here.
Okay. Let's see if we can't save these black market merchants. I feel like there's not very many times that these actually live, but he's played this awkward, weird set of units. So let's see. Wanted to see if we could get some good interaction here.
Tell it to the fists.
Scratched.
You dropped something.
So all these tough units out here today. It's kind of awkward.
I'm on it.
Awkward for our Riptide Rexes. Right, he just hits these cannon barrages hitting for... Oh, it does 2 to a unit. I thought it did 1 to a unit. That's 2 to the Nexus. Okay, so it's just not as good. And then he passes. Okay. I think we can get wider than this. But how much do we care about hitting these plunders? We can't... all we have is Jagged Butcher for this turn. Kind of interested in just like stunning this Vi, but it seems fairly weak.
Excuse me?
Alright, so let's just take a couple turns to get fully wide, and then
The facts fall into place.
we'll try to win with a Riptide Rex here on our next turn. Hopefully he doesn't have a bunch of cards he can just spew into this Insightful Investigator. Could have attacked with Hired Gun, but it was extremely strange what he did in the previous turn.
This is a real spin to win.
Humanity is obsolete.
Right, it looks like we're gonna get to throw out a Lure of the Depths here. That's pretty good, right? Okay. It's pretty good. Pretty good. If I do say so myself.
System upgrade.
So I guess we have to reevaluate this now. I'm kind of actually okay with this. Yeah, her flip is only when she strikes while attacking. Okay.
That's how we do it.
We could stun her next turn. We have to assume that she's going to be trying to block our Gangplank. I mean, maybe we should have...
Corpses of 'em all.
maybe we need to save the stun for the next turn, but I feel like the only way we're going to be winning this is just coming in and then playing Riptide Rex. If he wants to block Gangplank with Vi, we get the stun. That is a big 5 damage chunk that we're getting in for. But yeah, we basically have to win on our turn. He's had quite a few 2-drops coming out of this thing. Oh boy. Okay. So we only lose 1 unit.
Play again.
Nothing like the stink of blood and sweat. Get to work.
Prime and ready.
None can compare.
Don't stand in my way.
So do it like this. This game feels like it would have been quite a bit different if we'd actually just hook killed this Insightful Investigator in a fashion that
Tell it to the fists.
didn't require it to be hit by a, not having that Mystic Shot come through. Okay, let's see. We're looking to hit for 11. So if we stun Vi, we'll get him down to 5. I don't think we have any other choices. We either this Riptide Rex hits some kind of like miracle blast and wins the game, or we just lose. Can do something like hit this ballistic bot 3 times. So we need to hit it 4 times or 3 times. I'm not 100% sure how this plays out.
Ready, Rex? Not yet. Good to go. Let her rip.
Looks like 4 hit it. We just win, right? No? What? No, you hit the thing and we don't just win? I thought we had him much lower, I guess. Okay, so I don't think we have any ways out of this. We spent the stun before this unit could come in. we have another pilfered goods. Nope. Alright, that's gonna do it. Good game, friend. And so yeah, I mean, this is ultimately not a super successful run, but I think that clearly illustrates the problem with drafting Nautilus. So let me get this pulled up real quick, and we can talk about it a little more. I'm sorry you brought the goose egg Nautilus, but that does happen on occasion. And so yeah, as we kind of talked about with him, the kind of like deck requirements that we want to have, and the way that you can kind of see how this deck actually came together is when it comes to doing things with sea monsters, we don't really want to be playing the actual sea monsters. Like we had a couple spots in there where we were like would have been pretty happy to pick up Abyssal Eyes, but if you're looking to physically build towards sea monsters, which you have to be doing with Nautilus, right? Because the big thing with Nautilus is you can toss through your deck super fast, and then you're not going to deck yourself or worry about losing out because you shuffle all of your tossed sea monsters back into your deck. And so whenever I'm talking about the kind of two different ways of sea monsters, the way we prefer to do it with Jal Hunters and then playing actual sea monsters for Nautilus, he needs the actual sea monsters. And as you could see in that trial, it was what, like pick 9 or pick 10 before we even saw a sea monster. We saw a it would have been down here, right? Was it maybe the Swiftler Wave Rider when we started talking about wanting Abyssal Eyes, and then like a pick 11 and pick 12 had Abyssal Eyes in them? It was something really strange like that. I feel like we took Riptide Rex over an Abyssal Eye because we just fully moved into the Plunders deck. But this fully showcases my problems with Nautilus, and so I'm glad to at least get to showcase this run. It's not all about getting the 7 wins in all of these videos. I do want to show a lot of the pitfalls and the deck making decisions and things that go into the other champions, and I think this one very much illustrates what you want to do with Nautilus and how everything can just go completely wrong, and you're just kind of screwed from the start. And so to speak to Nautilus a little more, the things that you're looking for are the physical sea monsters and the toss cards. We did skip out on the toss cards because we never saw any like Shadow Isles that was really worth taking. That Callista right at the beginning of the trial was not a very good pairing with this. But that would have been how we kind of hoped to get into Shadow Isles, was if we saw like a Maokai or another. I'm trying to think, like a Thresh would probably work out okay. One of the more kind of like control decky Shadow Isles champions. But kind of the problems we run into with Nautilus is we took him first. We had to find a good champion pairing, and we didn't. And so what do we do if we don't get a good champion pairing? Then we kind of have to just fall back to the other sea monsters deck, if you will, the one that I prefer to draft, where we're using Pool Shark, we're using and Fortune Croaker to just draw cards quickly. You'll hopefully have a Salvage or two, since Salvage pushes you 4 cards through your deck. And then you're just trying to use that really quick card draw to play sea monsters out of Jal Hunters. That's kind of what we pivoted to here. This is more of just a Plunder style deck that has those ideals with it. But I hope this kind of shows that at least a good way to like pivot, a nice way to see if step 1 isn't coming together, what's a good step 2. And this was a pretty reasonable step 2. It ultimately, wasn't super successful, and I'm ultimately not like super excited to be playing Bilgewater Allegiance. But a lot of the cards that this is typically what I call a Twisted Fate deck, where we're playing this Pool Shark kind of card draw theme. A lot of this, Plunder style deck that goes well with it, kind of overlaps a lot with what the kind of Twisted Fate Sea Monsters deck is looking for. And so that is kind of like thing number 2 I'd like you to see. If thing number 1 was like, what are we initially looking for with a good Nautilus deck? Thing number 2 being, what can we pivot to if that doesn't come together? And this is probably your best option, is this early game Plunder, Pool Shark, Twisted Fate-y kind of style of deck, to where you're getting down a lot of early game plays. You try to have a lot of card draw, and then use the card draw to fuel up your Jal Hunters. And so, that's kind of the ideal way to go. At this run was, was a pretty low roll. I mean, we did make a couple mistakes along the way. We did get to see what happens if you double pull shark into double black market merchant and just can't play any of them for plunders. Like some of this was a bit awkward, but ultimately, if you're playing Nautilus, you do need to hit some sea monsters early, and the packs with this just did not play well. And so this is a pretty low quality set of cards, and you need to at least be hitting the good cards at the beginning, so your deck isn't just, we could have had like 6 Chum the Waters if we wanted, and that's just not something that ever plays out particularly well. And so I think that will do it for us today. I don't have too much more to comment on with this card pool, so let's just go ahead and move over to the rewards and see what we're able to pull out of here. Maybe we'll get a truly epic to make up with this this 3-win trial, this 3-win expedition. Yeah, we pick up a Riven, see? And so things get made up for in the end. Let me see, I think that's it. There's not any little pouches out here, there's no weekly chests. That is going to do it for us today. So I hope you all did learn the ways of Nautilus and how to properly approach a deep deck, even if that doesn't mean winning too many games or any games at all. And I hope you had a good time watching and a nice little learning experience. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.